So hello everyone, we are back again with our latest video on SQL tutorial Bikacho by Bikacho Group. And basically this is the part second of TCS SQL interview questions, and there are the remaining questions that are mostly asked in TCS interviews for SQL developer or database developer roles. Now move on and check the first question of today's video. So basically these kinds of question they will ask, the interviewer will provide you some table data or something on chat, or might be some test kind of assessment test kind of examination they will take. So in those questions or interviews these kind of questions are asked. So let's check the first question. So first question is like, you have two tables with blank value in both tables as shown in below image. So here you can see we have two tables, table 1 and table 2, and one will contain Vikas as name, and second table having all the blank values. So then what would be the output of the following query based on the table shown in the image? So according to this query, what will be the output? You just need to tell without checking on the SQL Server Management Studio, because during the interview you don't have the editor with you, so that will be a much difficult thing to answer these kind of question if you don't know the full concept of how the SQL is going running, or how the SQL is working. So here what they are telling, so the query is like, select T1 star comma dot T2 star from table T1 inner join table T2 on T1 name equals to T2 name. So basically we are performing an inner join between table 1 and table 2 on the basis of name column. Okay, and we require the all records from T1 table and all records from T2 table, what will come in the output. So basically when we do a inner join between T1 and T2 table based on name column, then it will not return any record, because both the table have no common record, because table 1 has Vikas entry and table 2 is blank, so no entry will match each of them. Okay, so we will receive a blank value. Now similarly move on to the second question. So second question, what it is telling, so what would be the output for the following SQL query? Okay, so basically they will provide you the SQL query and they will ask to find out the output of this. So select a dot a from select 1a comma 2b as a, join select 1a 1b b on a dot a equals to b dot b. So move on to SSMS and check each of the questions one by one there. Okay, now we will copy this particular select statement and go to SSMS. Okay, now open a new query window, then it will be more detailed elaboration. Okay, so here what we are getting, so here they are providing select a dot a from select 1a to b. So 1a to b, so 1 will be the value of a column and 2 will be the value of b column. From this you will get this particular output. Okay, so do the part by part calculation of each of the query, then you will understand the full query. Okay, so this particular result set is acting as a table here, and this second join select 1a 1b is acting as a separate table or result set here. Okay, so basically we need to put a join condition on these two result set. So copy this result set separate. Okay, you just need to understand this here, otherwise you need to perform it without any editor at the interview time. Okay, so when you execute, so we are getting table 1 has AB column with 1 and 2 value, and table B like AB column with 1 and 1 value. So when we perform a inner join, and it is on the basis of A dot A and B dot B. So A dot A is 1 and B dot B is 1. Okay, so 1 1 is common, so we will receive one value. A dot A will be 1. Okay, when you execute this query you will receive 1 as the output, A equals to 1. Okay, so this is clear how to separate it into parts and calculate it according to the part wise. Okay, now move on to the next question. So third question we have like, what would be the output of the following SQL query? Okay, so this is the query they have provided and we want to find out the output of this. Okay, so copy this and move on to SSMS. We will do the part by part calculation and check how to resolve this during the interview. Now new query window, now paste this. So here what they are telling, so they are telling like select b dot a. Okay, so here this one is acting as a table 1 or table a, and this one is acting as table b or table 2. Okay, and here we are finding the inner join only on the basis of a dot a and b dot a. So from this particular query we will receive a as one column with one value, a column with one value. Okay, and this particular query will provide two column a and b with one and two value. Okay, so basically here the join condition is on a dot a equals to b dot a. So a dot a will be 1 and b dot a will be 1. Okay, so this will provide us 1 here also. The solution will be 1. Okay, or one time we will do a part by part calculation also, so that it will be visible to you. Now this is the table 1 and this is the table 2. Okay, now when you execute both of them at once, then a is providing, table 1 is providing one value, table 2 is providing 1 and 2 value. Now when we execute this join condition on the basis of a dot a equal to b dot b, we will receive 1 as the output. Okay, so this is clear to everyone. Now move on to the next question. So next what we have, what would be the output for the following query, SQL query. Okay, now here they are provided, select b dot a from select 1a as a table, join select 1a comma 2b as b table on a dot a equals to b dot b. Now copy this particular query and we will check the output for this. Okay, so basically for this your join knowledge will be complete, so that you can resolve these kind of questions. And also you need to understand which particular query is providing what kind of table. Here means mostly they are using the derived table concept for using the table. They are not providing any particular table name, they are providing just the query as the table, acting as the table. Okay, so be clear in this particular thing. So here what they are telling, third question, select b dot a from select 1a. So this will provide one as one column a as one as output, and then join select 1a 2b. So here two columns will be there. A having value 1, b having value 2 on a dot a equals to b dot b. Okay, so a dot a will be 1, b dot b equals to 2 here. Okay, and here we are finding the inner join, so both are not matching, so here we will receive no result. Okay, so basically you can check part by part calculation also. Okay, we'll paste it here. Now copy this and paste it down below this. Now execute this. Okay, so a is 1 and a second table is like a equals to 1, b by 2. Okay, now when we provide the join condition on the basis of a dot a is 1 and b dot b is 2, so 1 dot 2 it is not matching, so no record we will find out in our execution. Okay, so these questions seem very easy and they are very easy, but while in interviews they are asked now, so you get confused if you don't have practiced these kind of questions. So it need to be practiced much and much, so that you can be able to provide the solution in the interview. Okay, without using the profiler, means SSMS. Okay, now move on to the next question. So next what we have, what would be the output for the following SQL query, and the query is like select star from select 1a union all select 2b. So here 1a a column having one value and second column having two value b. Okay, and we are performing a union all and the combined is considered as a table. Then we are joining with different statement like select 1a comma 2b, then union all 1a 2b. Okay, on a dot a equals to b dot b. Now take this particular query on SSMS and we will check the part by part solution for this. Okay, so now the part by part separation will provide what solution to us. So select 1a union all 2b, so it will provide us one column. Copy this. Okay, one column it will provide us and 1 and 2 value will be there because union all we are performing here. So execute this. So here we are receiving 8 column and 1 and 2 as value. Okay, and now the second part. Okay, I think by mistake we have deleted. Copy this again and then paste it here. So this particular query is clear. This is providing a and 1 and 2 value and single column a, and this will provide what, select 1a 2b union or select 1a 2b. This will provide two columns with 2 value to each column. Okay, so now copy this and then paste this, execute. So here we are receiving second table will be like A11 B21. Okay, now execute both of them simultaneously. Now A12 is the first table and A11 B21 is the second table. Now what they are telling, select star from this particular table and join from join, inner join. Here we are performing, and on what basis we are performing? On the basis of A dot A equals to B dot B. So A dot A equals to B dot B. So here what results are getting matched? So 1 is matching with 1 and then 2 is matching with 2. So 2 results we will get in our output. Okay, when you execute this, so we will receive 2, which is 2 from the one table and 2 from the second table, and this is the common record, means not the common record, this is the record from A. This is clear now how to join the query. Means first is providing two records, 2 is matching with 2 and 1 is matching with 1. So they, like this we will receive the output. Okay, so this is clear. Now move on to the next question. So next question what we have, what would be the output of the following SQL query? So select star from, select 1A union all, select 2B as A, join select 1A 2B as B on A dot A equals to B dot B. Okay, copy this query and then we will perform this in the SSMS. Okay, new query window. Now paste this. So this particular query will provide us one column similarly and two values 1 and 2. Okay, so the result set for the first table is like this. One second, execute this. So A 1 and 2, and here it will provide us two column A and B. Okay, with 1 and 2 value, and now we need to perform a inner join on top of table A and table B. Copy this and check the result set for this also. Execute both of them. So first table will be like A 1 by 2 1 on 2, and second table will be like A 1 2. Okay, and this is clear. Now we need to perform a inner join between both 1 and 2, first table and second, means first result set and second result set, on the basis of A dot A, which is 1 and 2, equals to B dot B. So B dot B is 2. So it will provide us one output which is 2 only, because 2 is matching with 2. Okay, now when we execute this, we will receive 2 1 2. Okay, because 2 is matching to 2. So first table 2 is matching to 2 and other records. Okay, 2 1 2 is the final record set. Now move on to the next question. So after sixth we have seventh question. So in what scenario no cluster index is created on top of a primary key? So basically this is the functionality of a primary key, that by default means cluster index will be created on the column which we have considered as primary key. So means the interviewer will ask like, is there any possibility like the primary key is created but no cluster index on top of that is created? So the answer for this will be yes. Okay, so when the no cluster index will be, when the cluster index will not be created on primary key, so whenever the table already have a preoccupied clustered index on a separate column other than the primary key, in that scenario the primary key column will not have the cluster index created by default. So this is a very important question, and these are mostly asked in every interview to check your basic knowledge and how the understanding you have about creating table and all. So if you tell, then we will go and check the example for this also. Okay, so basically what will happen, now move on to SSMS and we will quickly create one table. So create table, table table name we will give table test, and column we will keep like ID name. Okay, and this will be our integer primary key. Okay, put a comma here, and this will be our varchar. Okay, with 50. Okay, now execute this. So table test created in interview current database. Now we will go and check table test. So tables, expand this. So table test we have, when we expand this table test, then we can see a primary key is there and indexes when you expand. So here pk one cluster index is available there. Now let's take the scenario where the primary key will not have the default cluster index. Now create a separate table, different table, create table, create table, table test2, table underscore test2, test2. Okay, now here we will provide the value like id integer. Currently we are not keeping this as a primary key, currently just we are creating the table, and then we will check how it is possible that the primary key will not have the index cluster index by default. Okay, so now 50, now execute this. Okay, and now move on, and we will create a cluster index on top of the new table created on name column. Refresh this. Where is the table? Okay, so table test2 we have here. Now expand this. So columns, currently we don't have any primary key column or unique key column, so id is the column and name is the column. Now we will move and create a new index cluster index we will create. Okay, so cluster index we will create on top of cluster index, index type clustered, clustered unique index, and then add. So name column, on top of name column we are going to create. So okay, and then okay. So when you refresh this, so here you can see we have created one cluster index on top of our column, name column. Okay, so here you can expand this indexes, then you can see a cluster index. So we can do a script on create to, and then new query. So here you can see we have this cluster index created on top of table test2 and column name. Okay, this is clear. Now when we create the primary key on top of this particular table, so now create primary key for id column. So we can write the query for this, alter table, alter table. Okay, and then the table name, table test2, table test2, alter table, table name, add primary key, primary key, and then the column name. So column name id. Execute this. Cannot define primary key constant on nullable column. So first of all we need to make it as not null column. So we will create design, go to design, and then at design we can do this. So id column allow null, no, and then set as primary key. Okay, so primary key, you can see the key here, so it is set to primary key. Now save this table, save table. Okay, so this is saved. Now refresh this. So refresh this, and then here you can go and check the column. id column is the primary key, but index on, see here on primary key currently this is, one second. So here you can see now, so we are getting on primary key table, we are primary key we are getting a non-cluster index in this case, because cluster index is already occupied by name column. Okay, so in this scenario only, when a cluster index is preoccupied by a column in the table, then in that scenario only the primary key will not have the cluster index created on top of that. Okay, so this is clear, and this is a very important question. Okay, so many people can't able to answer this. Now move on to the next question. So next what we have, what will be the output of the below query if we have a table with 7 rows. Okay, so let's take a table we have with 7 rows. So what would be the output for this particular query? So at the interview what they can do, what the interviewer can provide you one table structure like where they have 7 records available. Okay, so and ask you like what will be the output for this particular query. So here we have a table created, I think. We will check that table. So table we have or not. So test 01 table we already have, which have 7 records. Okay, here you can see. So like this they will provide you a table that will have these kind of data, and then tell you to perform what will be the output for these particular queries. Okay, without executing, you need to provide the solution to them. Without executing it on any profiler or editor, you need to provide the solution for this. So select star from, first we will check the table for this. From table 1, execute this. So see, 7 records we have. And what will be the count star? So count star will simply provide you the output like 7. It will do the count for each of the records. Okay, so total 7 records. So 7 it will provide the output to you. Now sum one what it will do, it will sum up 1 for each of the row. Okay, so total 7 row, so 7 will be the output for sum 1. Now then count 1, so count 1 will count column 1, so which has 7 records, and then this will also provide you 7 output. Now count 2, so count 2 what it will do, count 2 will count all the records from the second column. Okay, so this will provide you 7 as the output. Okay, and then sum 2, so sum 2 basically here what it will do, it will add up 2 in each of the record set and provide the output. Okay, so total there are 7 records, so it will add 2 in each of the records, so total output will be 14. So from here it will become little tricky. So the sum 2 will provide you 14 records. Okay, because it will add up 2 in each of the records and provide the sum of that. So 2 plus 2, 2, 2 for 7 records, and then total will be 14. Okay, now count C2. So count C2 what it will do, it will count the second column. So 7 record it will also return to you. And then we have count 3. So count 3 what it will do, count 3 will again count all the records. Okay, so I think 7 it will also provide the 7 count 3 also. Now sum 3 what it will do, so it will again like someone is adding 1, and someone is providing taking 1 for each row and providing the sum like 7 we are getting, and sum 2 is adding 2 in each of the record and providing the output like 14. So similarly sum 3 will add up 3 in each of the record and provide the output. So total output will be 7 into 3 equals to 21. Okay, now when we execute this, so first select star we have here. Now when we execute this, see what record we are getting. So count star is providing 7. Okay, this is clear. Now sum 1 is providing 7, and then count 1 is providing 7, count 1 doing the count for first column, and count 2 is doing the count for second column. So 7 it is also providing. And now sum 2 is adding 2 to each of the record in the table. Okay, it is adding 2 to each of the record and providing the sum for that. So which means total 7 record, so 7 into 2 14. Okay, so here it is clear. And now then count C2, so count C2 will count each of the record in column 2. So 7, so 7 as the output we are getting. Okay, and count 3 is also adding counting each of the record. Okay, so it is providing 7 as the output. Now sum 3, so sum 3 what it is doing, it is doing the addition of 3 in each of the rows and providing the sum for that. Okay, so 3 into 7 equals to 21. So this is clear to everyone, and this is the most recent asked question. Okay, and this is very important and a bit tricky also, so you must need to know this particular question very well to answer it in interview. Now move on to the next question. So next two we have the theory question like why use functions instead of store procedure in SQL. Okay, so the answer for this will be like, if we want to perform some calculation based on some column value, then we can use function instead of store procedures, because we cannot call a procedure in a select statement, but we can call function in a select statement. So basically this is the main difference between store procedure and the function. Like if you want to do want to find out a calculated column, and that we need to represent in our select query, like any expression we have created or anything. So we can create a function on top of that, and we can call it from the select statement. But at that time we cannot use the store procedure, because store procedure cannot be called from the select statement, whereas the function can be called from the select statement. Okay, so this is the reason why we will use the function instead of the stored procedure in certain scenarios. Okay, now move on to the last question of today's video. So explain the difference between stored procedure and triggers. So nowadays these are getting asked mostly. So previously the most asked question like what is the difference between stored procedure and function, but now the difference between stored procedure and triggers came in picture very quickly. So the differences are like, when we create a trigger we have to identify events and action of our trigger, but when we create stored procedures we don't identify events and action. Okay, so basically the trigger will act on any certain given condition or event happened or action happened, whereas the store procedure will not require any action to happen for its execution or for its working. Okay, now second difference is like, triggers can run automatically if the event is occurred, but store procedure don't run automatically, but we have to run it manually. Okay, so this is clear. Like triggers can automatically run whenever the insert, update, delete action has been taken place, whereas store procedure need to be executed from the execute statement. It cannot run on a certain event or some action happened at the database. So in that scenario the store procedure will not work, but the trigger can work automatically on the certain event. Okay, so this is clear. Now third point will be, within a trigger we can call a specific store procedure, but within a store procedure we cannot call a trigger. Okay, so basically we can execute a store procedure inside a trigger, or we can write a statement like execute a store procedure whenever this particular event has happened under the trigger, but we cannot create a trigger inside a store procedure. Okay, so or call a trigger inside a store procedure. So this is a major difference. And now fourth difference, like trigger execute implicitly, whereas store procedure execute via procedure call from another block. So this is similar only. So trigger execute implicitly why the action happened or event happened, whereas the store procedure whereas the store procedure will be called from another block. Okay, and now the fifth difference is, we can call a store procedure from front end like ASP.NET files, ASPX file, ASCX files, etc. So basically store procedure can be executed from the front end tools also, whereas we cannot call a trigger from these files. Okay, so basically trigger cannot be called from front ends. The database triggers cannot be called from front end. Okay, now six differences. Store procedure can take input parameter, but we can't pass parameters as an input to a trigger. So basically those who are able to know how to create the trigger and how the trigger is working, they already know like we cannot pass any input parameter in the triggers. And we have a very good video on our channel on store procedures as well as triggers also. So for a detailed description and detailed knowledge on store procedure and triggers, you can go and watch that video. And thank you for watching. Many more series are going to come for interviews, and we are also planning for a complete series on SQL Server. So do share, like, share and subscribe to our channel, and many more videos are on the way. Thank you for watching. Thank you everyone. If you need any help or any documentation thing, then you can go to our Telegram channel, or you can comment to us if you need our help in any of your projects, ongoing projects, or if you have any specific topic in your mind or any specific company question paper you want, interview questions and all, then you can comment us. Thank you for watching. Thank you everyone.